And on the line with us, former Texas State Senator Wendy Davis. She is the founder of deedsnotwords.com and a supporter of Hillary Clinton. You can tweet Senator Davis at Wendy Davis or @_deedsnotwords. And Senator, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Happy to be on with you, Thom. How are you?
I am well. It's been a while. I'm curious your thoughts on what we should or could expect for tomorrow night's debate. I just finished about a half hour ago on this program debating a conservative who was saying that since Chris Wallace's first topic is debt and entitlements, that it really should be all about how to privatize Social Security.
I would be surprised that that's where he's going to be going with that. I know that he has laid out an agenda for the debate that seeks to give each of these candidates an opportunity to talk about what they plan to do to address those particular issues. But I expect that what we'll see in this debate, as we've seen in the prior two, are attempts by Hillary Clinton to sincerely answer those questions with policy, ideas, and details. We are going to see a continuation, likely, of what we saw in the second debate. I think Donald Trump felt like he was rewarded by attacking Hillary Clinton, by throwing out falsehoods and hyperbole, and he will likely double down on that kind of behavior in this debate.
I'm curious what you think of his strategy, this misogynistic strategy of essentially saying, "Oh, I wouldn't have hit on that woman. She's not pretty enough." And then he made this comment about Hillary Clinton walked in front of him, and I assumed that what he was saying was, he got to look at her backside and decided she didn't have the curvaceous figure that would attract him. I mean, the way that he made that comment, I don't think I'm projecting. I'm curious your thoughts on Trump's defense and continuing offense or offensive offense with regard to women.
Well, I think he's demonstrating exactly who he is. It's not just a matter of statements that he's made in the past or behavior that he's exhibited. When he's called upon to answer to that behavior, that misogynistic behavior, he answers with more misogyny.
Right.
I mean, to go after some of the women that he has gone after, to victimize survivors who are coming forward courageously and telling their stories, to continue to embody the idea that women should be objectified and valued purely because of what we look like, is the very reason that he is suffering so badly with women voters around the country. We all know this man, whether we know Donald Trump or whether we know other men in our lives who have behaved this way to us in the workplace or elsewhere. We know this man, and it causes this deep emotional response within us that says, this is not something that we're going to take. We're certainly not going to allow this person to be the leader of our country and to continue to model this kind of behavior for young men and others who are growing up in this country under the idea that this is how women ought to be viewed. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that he's simply reflecting, sort of the Mad Men culture of the 50s and 60s, and he just hasn't kind of grown into the 21st century, or do you think that he's really an aberration?
I wish I could say he were a complete aberration, except that there are so many people, particularly Anglo men, who are sticking with him.
Right.
Even his wife Melania, in her interview, said, boys will be boys, essentially. So there are men and women in this country who still hold to the idea that somehow this is acceptable, that Mad Men mentality of the 1950s is something that we all ought to still laugh a bit at and sweep under the rug. But what they do when they propose that kind of perspective is they do harm to the advancement of the idea that women truly are equal and that we ought to be respected as equal partners in the workplace and elsewhere. And when we see that happening, when women are devalued, when women are held back, the entire country is held back, because if we aren't made a real part of the economic fabric of this country, then the country's economy suffers as a consequence of that. So there's danger to our economy, not only to the way women are viewed.
What's the status of the Equal Rights Amendment right now? I've kind of lost track of it over the last few years. Teddy Kennedy used to religiously introduce it into the Senate every year, and
there are three more states needed to basically allow it to go forward. And there's a renewed effort actually underway to make sure that we try to take that and move it forward. There are a lot of people in this country who don't know that the Equal Rights Amendment never passed. And of course, because it never passed, that's why we continue to see some of the problems that plague women in the workplace today. And it's an effort that I think is worth renewing a conversation about. I know that because Hillary Clinton understands uniquely what it means to be a woman in America, she's going to be a champion on issues that impact women, whether we're talking about affordable child care, whether we're talking about reproductive care, whether we're talking about equality of pay. And those, I believe, are going to form an important part of her agenda, not because she's a woman only looking out for other women, but because she understands that by making women stronger, we make the country stronger. And she's talked about that a lot.
Yeah. We have just a minute left before we're going to hit a break here, Senator Davis. I'm curious, what are your expectations for tomorrow night?
I expect that we'll see Hillary continuing to answer the questions sincerely and with detail, and promoting her ideas about what she believes is needed to take this country forward on each of the issues that Chris Wallace intends to ask them about.
What happens if Donald Trump goes nuts? I mean, if he...
and I think he very well might. I feel like he's been so unhinged this week, continuing to demonstrate, obviously, the fact that he's not qualified to be the leader of this country. He feels like he won that last debate, and he feels as though his supporters are responding favorably to behavior like that. So I think we're going to see him double down on it and perhaps be even more extreme in that behavior than he was a week ago.
God save us all. Senator Wendy Davis. HillaryClinton.com, of course, deedsnotwords.com. You can tweet her at Wendy Davis. Senator, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Thom.
Great talking with you. We'll be back.